Welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about something incredibly powerful. And it's also something that's pretty invisible. Something that actually might be robbing you of a higher level of confidence, pride, and gratitude every single day. And it's this: the moment when the extraordinary becomes the ordinary. The moment when something that felt nearly impossible now feels routine. And maybe it feels routine because you stop appreciating it. You stop recognizing it. And maybe even stop celebrating. And eventually, you stop believing it matters. Let me ask you something. Think back to the very beginning of something important you started in your life. Maybe it was your first day on the job. Maybe it was the first day you started your sport. Maybe it was the first day in class in a new education. Maybe it was the first day you started to try to change your life. Can you remember that feeling? This mixture of like exciting and kind of terrifying. It's like you've got a voice inside your head going, what if I can't do this? What if I fail? What if everyone else is better than me? The truth is, for every expert you admire today, every athlete, every professional, every leader, at some point, they all started in the same place, that place of uncertainty, clumsiness, overwhelm. They all started at the beginning. Think about the first time you tried something difficult, the first run that left your lungs burning. Mine screaming, I'm never going to be able to do this. Think about the first presentation, the first time you stood in front of class and spoke. Were your hands shaking? How about the first time you tried to understand something that made absolutely no sense? Or the first time you organized something that just seemed insurmountable? At the beginning, everything feels huge. Everything feels hard. Everything almost feels impossible. But then, over time, something magical happens. You keep showing up again and again and again. And slowly, almost invisibly, you start to change. What was once really difficult isn't so much anymore. Because there's a truth about growth. Growth happens quietly. It doesn't announce itself. Growth doesn't go, hey, I'm here. And it doesn't arrive with like firework. Kaboom, look at me. It arrives quietly. One practice at a time, one mistake at a time, one lesson at a time, one uncomfortable step at a time. And then suddenly, months later, years later, you're doing something today that would have terrified the person you used to be. And the strange part, you barely notice it anymore. And I often wonder, is this because of the human brains? Working with people in pain, I've noticed over time, the brain forgets pain. It forgets where it was, how bad it was. It's kind of a blessing, but I wonder if this is why, as we get better and better at whatever we're doing and get more and more proficient and more skilled, that we forget how hard it was when we started. Because, when you're approaching, like you're learning a hard thing, you look at the people who've been doing it over time and you go, wow, those people are amazing. And they're probably the ones that like, no, this is just day to day for me. You know, there's this quote that really makes me think sometimes. A butterfly cannot see the beauty of its own wings, but everyone else can. So, what happens when the extraordinary becomes ordinary? The run that once seemed impossible, it's now your warm up. Oh my goodness. The skill that once felt overwhelming it's just now second nature. You could do it drinking a coffee, listening to a podcast. The knowledge that once seemed unreachable now lives comfortably in your mind and expands into new. And the paradox of human growth, what once felt extraordinary, it becomes ordinary. But sometimes we confuse ordinary with insignificant. We think ordinary doesn't mean impressive. But the truth is, maybe ordinary simply means you've grown. Like I just said, there's this beautiful idea. A butterfly cannot see the beauty of its own wings, but everyone else can. And that's exactly what happens in our lives. You cannot see the full beauty of your own progress because you lived it every day. It's like when I work with people who have an injury, and because they're living inside their own body and the changes are so subtle, sometimes it takes weeks before they notice the difference, or longer. And like I said before, the brain forgets pain. So sometimes I haven't seen somebody in a couple of weeks, and they'll come back and I'll say, how was that so-and-so? And they just get this look on their face. Oh my God, I haven't thought of that for like at least a week. You cannot see the beauty of your own progress because you're in it, because it's subtle, because it accumulates day after day. And because you were there every step of the way. A lot of times we focus on the mistakes. We focus on the awkward moments. We remember the struggle, but the world, the world sees something different. They see the full beauty of your wings. So sometimes it's good to get an outside perspective. Have you ever watched someone do something and thought, how are they that good? How did they learn that? That's incredible. I'll tell you, every single runner I know that I see out running, I'm like, how can they go so fast? Because I'm going so slow. But what you're seeing in that moment is riding on the backs of years of invisible effort that you never saw, years of small improvements, years of persistence, years of getting up one more time, years of showing up. But to them, it just feels ordinary. Can't see their own wings, eh? But you know me, I always like to bring up the pitfalls. So there is a dangerous blind spot. One of the most dangerous things we can do is forget how far we've come. Sometimes we get so stuck at looking at how far we have to go that we don't even look back to see how far we've come. And when you don't see how far you've come and you forget how far you've come, you start believing that you haven't gone anywhere. You start thinking that you're not improving. You start thinking that you're capable. You're not capable. But the reality is, it's simply a perspective distortion. Simply missing out on all those moments stacked on to each other. All those days when you didn't want to get up and you got up anyway. All those days when you fell down and you shook off the dust and you got moving again. All these things. Sometimes you have to stop and look back. The philosopher William James once said, "The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering the attitudes of their mind. The truth is, perspective changes everything." If you look back, you'll see progress. But if you look forward, you'll only see distance. When you look back, you'll see everything you've overcome. When you look forward, you'll see all the things in your path that you have to overcome. Think about it. There was an athlete once. A runner was struggling, just pretty much me, to run a single kilometer. Breathless, exhausted. Feel like I was going to collapse. And fast forward, a few years. And now I can run 12K before breakfast. But here's the twist. Because I've done it so many times, it feels like nothing really that special. Like, I don't know, it feels like an effort for sure. But it's not like play the band. Yeah. Because I've done it so many times now. Meanwhile, sometimes somebody says, "Oh man, that's incredible." And I'm going, "Well, it's really not that great." Remember, comparison is the thief of joy. There's a hidden power too. Your abilities are like muscles. They grow stronger. The stronger they become, the less you notice about that, right? The stronger your muscles become, the less you notice. You don't walk around thinking about how amazing it is you can walk. But I guarantee when you were that little tiny munchkin who got up for the first 3 steps, you probably were dancing. But imagine explaining walking to somebody who just learned. Balance, coordination, movement. It's miraculous. Think about it. Your brain has to coordinate an incredible amount of muscles, stabilizers and hip flexors and extensors and all this stuff, and balance the 2 sides. Just think about how big the program would be to make you walk. It's truly miraculous, but it's pretty much normal to you. And this is where your inner advocate needs to step in. Because the inner critic will say, "It's not impressive. Anyone can do this. You are not special." But the inner advocate knows something deeper. The inner advocate will say, "Look at how far we've come. Look at all the things we've survived, and we're still standing. Look at what we've learned. Look at what we've built." Think about it. 12-year-old you would be so impressed and so proud of the life you created for yourself. So maybe it's time for a gratitude shift. When you begin to see your progress again, something incredible happens. And it's funny, this is what I'm starting to see because I'm coming back from injuries and I'm about to run my first marathon in just under 2 months. And my body's felt slow and difficult. And then day after day, getting out the door is getting a little easier. The runs are getting longer, 22K last week, 24 this week. And I'm experiencing this in real time is the fact that gratitude is appearing. So grateful that I have the ability to get up and improve and keep on going. And the confidence starts coming back because I was worried I wasn't even going to make it. But now I'm pretty sure I'm getting there. And the motivation is back. It's like, yeah, let's do this. And it's simple. I think I've remembered something incredibly powerful. I remember that I'm capable of change. And if you change once, you can change again. See, your body is built and your mind is built and designed to repair itself. And your body is strong and resilient and capable of great things. And it does great things every day. Think about it for a second, right? They say there's between 1 and 10 trillion cells in your body. In every minute of the day, in every one of those 1 to 10 trillion cells, there's about 100,000 chemical reactions going on. And every single one of those cells through multiple systems is communicating with every single other cell in your body. Think about that. How incredible is that? And then we walk around mundane and not even realizing that we're a walking, breathing miracle. You know, in my practice, I work with pre and postnatal. Some people have it mundane that a human being can grow another human being inside their body. If that's not extraordinary, what is? Maya Angelou said something very profound. Do your best until you know better. And then when you know better, do better. That's the entire journey of growth. You learn, you improve, you evolve, and eventually what felt very extraordinary becomes your new normal. And then it's time to level up, to move up to the next and the next and the next. Because life was meant to be lived. And the ride, I feel like if you're sitting in the mundane and not appreciating, grateful for the extraordinary, the ride just isn't as good. So today I want you to do something powerful. Right now, look back. Look back at the person you used to be. Look at what felt impossible. Look at what made you afraid. Look at the things that once made you doubt yourself. Get them clear in your mind. Exactly how it felt, what it looked like. The fear, the doubt, the concern, the worry. Now look at what you can do today. Look at all the things you've overcome. Look at the fact that you can get up and you have created this incredible life for yourself. Everybody. All these things, those are your wings. And you might not see them, but the world does. You know, while you're doubting yourself, someone else is looking at you saying you are the reason they're going to try too. So it's time to stop letting familiarity erase your accomplishment. Don't let routine hide your progress. Never let the inner critic convince you that growth doesn't matter. Because somewhere right now, someone is looking at something you do every single day and they are thinking, I wish I could do that. And the quiet truth is the things that seem ordinary to you are extraordinary to someone else. So today, remember this. You are not standing still. You are so far from ordinary. You are a living example of growth. And just like the butterfly, even if you can't see the beauty of your own wings, they are still there. And they are incredible. And other people see them. Thanks for joining me again. Keep on shining and building your own inner advocate.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Inner Advocate, a podcast by Kimmin Peterson, formerly Conversations with Kimmin. If you found value in today's episode, please follow, like, and share the podcast with someone who you think may benefit from it. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and connect on Instagram at your_inner_advocate. Until next time, keep listening to and developing your inner advocate.